What's good, everybody? It is Wartime MMA. Tony Trill, my boy Alex, my dog Mike. We're about to break down UFC 313, ANKALAEV PERIERA, or Pereira ANKALAEV, him being the more famous fighter, the more star caliber fighter. This is a good one. This is a highly anticipated matchup we've had for the past couple years. These are the clear two best fighters in the 205 division. Good co-main event. Rematch between Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev. Shout out to Fiziev for stepping in on short notice to make this fight. It was originally going to be Gaethje and Dan Hooker, but we got a good rematch in store, and just a pretty decent card overall. I think it's going to provide some good excitement, especially the main event, hopefully. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the breakdown.
Alrighty, hold on one second. Starting with the early prelims, we got Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. Who want to go first?
I can start. This is a fight between, on paper, similarly level bantamweights. The big difference here is Gutierrez has been in the rankings, which by itself doesn't mean a lot, but he has fought a higher level of competition. He's gone 5 rounds with Song Yadong, and the pick that I'm going to go with is Gutierrez, and the main reason is his biggest weapon and his main weapon that he uses and he's best at is the calf kick. And if you watch the Nathaniel Wood Castaneda fight, although it was long ago, he got fucking calf kicked to hell. And you add that with Gutierrez's experience against guys like Song Yadong, the leg kick, Castaneda being fucking coached by Pat Barry. That's never what you want to see. You know, Castaneda doesn't have terrible losses, but Daniel Santos, Daniel Marcos, the Daniels, they're good, but they're not. They are at a level, right? And I don't think they're too. I think they're probably at a similar level as Chris Gutierrez himself, is like a Daniel Marcos or a Daniel Santos. And I think Castaneda has just been mediocre for too long. Nobody really ever thinks about him. Nobody talks about him. He's nothing special. He is a good fighter, but I don't think he's good enough to beat Gutierrez. I think it'll probably be a pretty one-sided decision. Maybe Castaneda goes hard and wins around 30-27, 29-8. Gutierrez. Calf kicks.
Yeah, I'm a side with Alex on that. He pretty much stole the words that I was gonna go with. Like, Pat Barry's a horrible coach. It just got exposed by Alonzo Menifield's last fight. Just no. Like, normally, if you're on that team, you've just been horrible lately. Unless if your name is Rose, who got, we can't say it for legal purposes, but if you know type of scenario. But I'm gonna go with Chris Gutierrez by a boring decision.
Tough. I don't like Chris Gutierrez. I don't. Nothing against him, just not a fan. John Castaneda, nothing special in his own right. I think they're very, not even, but same level damn near. Maybe just a tad more in favor of Gutierrez with the experience and the competition he's faced, as well as what Alex said. He had been in the rankings. Castaneda has never been in the rankings. I think this fight goes to a decision. I don't really rate the finishing upside between either of these guys. I think both have decent gas tanks, good output. They have the option of wrestling. That's not like their go-to, but I feel like they have that in their back pocket. I'm going to go with a Chris Gutierrez decision. I really don't want to. I really don't like him, but I just feel like the fight that Alex pointed out is a good point. The Nathaniel Wood fight. Nathaniel Wood's not a very big bantamweight, featherweight, whatever fucking weight he is. He's not big in either of those. He's just going to calf kick him, honestly. He's just going to circle out, calf kick. He's going to just try to make Castaneda go forward, and I know for a fact, Gutierrez is perfectly fine parking the bus and just making you come to him. He ain't going to engage in any shot that he don't feel like he has a good chance of evading or getting the better hand of. So I'm going to go with the Gutierrez decision. I just don't see him doing anything to put himself in harm's way, and the calf kicks is bread and butter. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Gutierrez decision off leg kicks. I'll go with the consensus here. First clean sweep of the card for 313.
Alrighty, moving on. We got Ozzy Diaz versus DeJordan Santos. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Santos. He looked pretty impressive in his Contender Series fight, and Ozzy Diaz is just not the best. And I think that's a perfect person to start your debut against, to just easily knock out. I'm gonna go with Santos by KO on this one.
I'm gonna be brutally honest. I'm not really too familiar with either of these fighters. Casual alert. Fucking, I don't really know either really one between Ozzy Diaz and I don't know how to pronounce his name. Santos, his first name. I'm gonna go with Santos. Contender Series prospect. UFC usually favors those guys. He seems to look like he has finishing potential. Diaz, his record's not the worst, but I just don't really perceive him as a contender or like anything big. I think he's just kind of a guy to be there and just, take the fight. I'll go with the Santos late round 1 KO, round 2 maybe, like round 1, round 2 KO, Santos. Nothing really too descriptive here, too informative. I'm not really familiar with either one. We'll go Santos KO, round 1 or 2.
Yeah, I'm also going to agree with Tony and Mike. I'm going with DeJordan Santos. I do think this fight has the potential to be pretty fun. Both are predominantly boxers. I don't think either one of them are super good. I think it could be kind of like that sloppy bar fight type of fight, which would be fun. But looking at both of them fight, Jordan Santos looks pretty good. He's in good shape. He's a good Brazilian contender. And then you got the bag of milk that is Ozzy Diaz. And I mean, if you just did the eye test, you're going to pick DeJordan Santos. But watching him fight, I think DeJordan Santos is better. He beat Will Curry, who is a well-touted prospect from the UK scene. Although Will Curry has no fucking boxing, he boxed him up pretty good. I do think he could have potentially finished Will Curry if he put it on. So maybe I don't think these guys are like worlds apart. I don't think DeJordan Santos is night and day better. He is kind of a decisionator, I have to be honest, to Jordan Santos, but I'm going to agree with Mike and Tony that it'll be a TKO just by the style of fight. I think when you have kind of two lower class boxers at middleweight, somebody's probably going to go down. As long as if they don't go down, it's going to be one of the most boring fights we've ever seen, and they're going to sit at range and pitter patter each other. But I don't think that'll happen. I think DeJordan Santos pushes the pace. Ozzy Diaz doesn't even know where he is half the time. He just sits there in the middle of the octagon and gets pieced up. I think we could see a good fun fight for however long it lasts. I'm gonna go Santos TKO in the second.
Alrighty, moving on. We got Myron Santos versus Francis Marshall. I'm gonna let y'all go first.
If I'm not mistaken, Myron Santos won the Ultimate Fighter, no? Something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Francis Marshall, the fireman, went into a split decision with William Gomez. Not a bad fighter. He's not bad. I don't think he's the guy to beat Myron Santos. That's just it. I just don't think he's that guy. Santos, what is this, at 145, I think? 145? Yeah, featherweight? Yeah. I think he's not a small featherweight. He's got good reach, good length, knows how to use his range. I'm just torn between dominant ass-whooping decision Myron Santos or KO Myron Santos. I'm torn between which way he gets it done, but obviously I'm picking Santos. I guess I'll go... I'm going to go third round KO Santos. I think the first 2 rounds he's just going to look like he's just so much better. And then Francis Marshall's just going to go for broke and try to do something big in the third and get caught. So I'm going to go with a middle of the third round TKO for Myron Santos. I just think he's got momentum, and this is not the guy to beat him.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Myron too. I don't know. I think his style is just one of those styles that is gonna be tough for Francis Marshall, and I don't see Francis Marshall beating Myron Santos, who's coming off a Ultimate Fighter tournament win. And I don't think he's going to lose his debut to a guy like Francis Marshall. Francis Marshall isn't the worst, but he's also not all that. I think I'm going to go with... I'll go with decision. A 30-27 decision by Myron Santos. Maybe even a finish, ground and pound finish.
Yeah, I'm also going to have to go with Myron Santos here. I'm going to go Myron Santos by first round KO. I think Francis Marshall's... I mentioned it to you guys kind of off broadcast, but I'm going to get into it later on in the main card with another fight. But a lot of these prospects, and Francis Marshall, big question mark on prospect, but at one point he was undefeated, I believe, or, great record. And came in really young, 22, 23, something like that. I'm going to say he's 24 right now. And he's been chinned by Bulgarian. He's been in there with Gomez. He hasn't taken a shitload of damage by any means, but I do think key here is knowing when to pick your prospects. And I think Myron Santos is the prospect here. And I think we've seen with Francis Marshall already where he stacks up. And I do think Francis Marshall has a decent grappling game, but I haven't been able to see really anybody take down Myron Santos since his LFA fight against Dan Argueta. And to be fair, Dan Argueta is ass. But this was at bantamweight, and it was a while ago. And I do think Myron has gotten better since this point. And a lot of fighters, when you see him fight, they don't really have as much composure as, like, Myron does. Myron has, like, almost Anderson Silva-like composure in there. Very calm in there, and it helps him find his shots. And I think Francis Marshall's a guy that he's going to be able to find the shots on. And I could see him being a little bit tentative early, or maybe even going harder than he normally would early, just because of the nerves. But I think eventually a knockout will happen. I think it'll probably be in the first or the second round. I'm going to say the beginning of the second round. Myron Santos gets all of his reads on Marshall that he needs in the first and puts him out in the second. Myron Santos KO. I'm going to say knee. Let's say he hurts him with something, clinch knee, bam, goes down. So yeah, Myron Santos. I actually really like this kid. I'd be really interested to see him fight other strikers in the bantamweight, even before he gets ranked. I think Myron against a lot of these, like a Gutierrez would be fun maybe, and that's saying a lot because Gutierrez is fucking boring. And other people like that. Just a striking fight, I would be really interested in seeing Myron Santos in against another high-level guy. But that's where I'm going to leave it. Myron, TKO, second round early.
All right, moving on now. Oh, crap, my thing crashed. No, we're back. We got Alex Morono taking on Carlos Leal. I'm going to go with Carlos Leal. Carlos Leal is juiced to the gills, man. He's just one of those... He's like one of those new fighters that is, like, coming in juiced. Like... I'm not gonna say he's like no. I don't think he's like Basel Hafez, like how he just came in and just full on juiced for that one fight because USADA's not there. I feel like I just feel like he's juiced out. Like he looked like man. He looked like fucking Bane out there against what's his name? Against
Renat.
Yeah, Renat. Yeah. I'm gonna go with a first or second round knockout by with Carlos Leal. I think he's gonna get done in the first or second. I think Alex Morono isn't as good as I thought he was.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Mike here. Carlos Leal looks like he invented steroids versus Alex Morono looks like he doesn't know what a push-up is. It's kind of the battle of the physiques. You got flabby, blobby Morono versus fucking jacked man of steel Carlos Leal. I mean, this motherfucker, there's no way he doesn't have the pharmacy in his veins. He's got multiple pharmacies in his veins and all of their drug supply. That motherfucker took the entire shelf and injected it into his fucking arm. Like, that back knee was insane. I've never seen clearer back knee from steroid usage on an MMA fighter. That's some shit you see in, like, the bodybuilding competition, that level of back knee. Like, motherfucker. And to be fair, he got in, right? Like, they don't test people on their debuts, right when they get in the UFC. But apparently they just haven't tested him yet. They're probably testing Yuri like 400 times still or some shit. Like, putting their tests in the wrong place. But anyway, about the fight, it's just, I think it's as simple as the way it looks. You know, Carlos Leal's probably going to fucking put Morono out in 1. I think Morono's cooked. You're losing into Nico Price in 2024. I do not like that. Nico Price is beyond cooked. And I used to think Morono was like, you know, he had some Muhammad Ali moments out there, you know what I mean? Like, he was piecing up Ponzinibbio on the feet, bouncing, moving. Not that he looked like a champion or anything, but he looked quality. And all of a sudden, now he's just like, you know when Strickland gets real wild at the end of the 5th and he throws overhands like this? That's what Morono's doing. He's just, yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You're a coach. Not only are you a UFC fighter, you're a coach to other fighters, to other UFC fighters, to hopefuls. Bro! Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, Alex Morono, get on steroids right now, otherwise you're a bitch. But anyway, Carlos Leal is just going to destroy him. It really is that simple. Like, it really is. Go ahead, Tony. It's that simple. He's going to KO him easy. Steroids win.
Yeah, I think yet another clean sweep. I am going to go with Leal, hailing from PFL. He got robbed his last fight in Saudi against Renat Fiketradov. They gave him a 30-27 loss. I actually thought that he won all 3 rounds, low-key. But that's besides the point. That was in Saudi. Renat had to retain that record. I completely get the politics of that decision. I get it. This is a different fight. He's a massive favorite. The physicality edge is definitely in his direction. Morono, even though he had some moments against Ponzi on the feet striking-wise, he's not known as a respectable power at all, really. Like, you can low-key walk him down. His physique is not very toned. I feel like body shots are also open against a guy like this. He doesn't really have a diverse kicking game. Like, he pretty much just kind of is a jiu-jitsu guy, and Leal was able to defend damn near every takedown from Renat, whose wrestling I have to rate more than Morono's. The only fluke way I could see Morono winning, honestly, I can't see a decision. I can't see throughout the duration of 15 minutes him out-damaging Leal. I can't see that. I think Leal's going to knock him out. The only fluke way I could see Morono winning is if he somehow gets on his back and latches a submission of some kind, but I don't see it. I'm going to give me a round 1 Carlos Leal just fucking roided up knockout. Just like, it's going to be gruesome. It's going to be a brutal finish. Brutal finish.
Yeah.
Hello?
Alrighty. Moving on. We got Bruno Ferreira versus Armin Petrosyan.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Bruno Ferreira. I was talking to y'all about this before we started filming. I just don't. It's all about who I think is who's more chinnier. Like, I don't think these guys are chinny per se.
Yeah.
But, like, it comes down to who's got a better chin. In my opinion, I think Bruno Ferreira's chin is better than Armin Petrosyan's chin. He's coming off not really a brutal knockout, but like a crazy knockout in that double spinning back fist KO by Shara. Yeah, Bruno is coming off a horrible performance against Albus while he was dropping him and not doing shit else with it, but I just think, like, I'm confident that he probably saw that fight and was like, damn, that was a retarded move on my end. I'm gonna have to fix that hole in my area. I think I'm gonna go with Bruno Ferreira second round TKO. I think he's gonna catch him at some point.
2.5.
But it really does come out to, like, if he shits the bed or not.
Yeah, I have to agree also. I'm also going with Bruno Ferreira. I was just looking at the Tapology line, and I remember them, like, close. Like, it was like, I want to say even weirdly, like, Petrosyan was the favorite last time, and it was really close. But now Ferreira has pulled ahead, and he's like, I think they gave Armin like 20-something now, which is, I think is more fair. I do think Ferreira wins. And I think it could be as easy as if Ferreira decides to grapple. He has a really good judo background, and when he does use it, he uses it effectively. And Petrosyan has zero ground game at all. So I think Ferreira could potentially take him down and get a TKO or a sub in 1. But I do worry about his IQ, I have to be honest. You know, he gave up a lot of positions in the Abus fight where he could have finished him. and he threw a lot of stupid strikes like spinning elbows and back fists and shit that led him pretty much getting to losing the fight and getting finished. And I don't like that.
All right. Anything else?
Because Petrosian is precise on the feet, but he really doesn't have any finishing potential. And unless he can walk Fajea into a shot, I don't really see him putting him out. I see the finishing potential on Fajea's side. I think it's much more likely that Fajea puts Petrosian out. And I think if Petrosian wins, more than likely, he has to keep Fajea at the end of his punches for 3 rounds, and I don't think that happens. Fajea looked good getting in within range against Abbas, landing big strikes, dropping him when he needed to. And if he decides to grapple, I think it will be that easy. So I'm going to go Fajea. I'm going to go second round KO. It's a takedown, land some elbows after some moments on the feet with Petrosian in the first. So yeah, I'm going to go Fajea TKO in the second round, or maybe a sub. I'm going to go TKO. Elbows.
Tony?
Yet another clean sweep. This is my first dog of the card. I like this dog. Armin Petrosian coming off of a meme knockout from the hands of Shara Bullet. Bruno Fajea, the Hulk. Not the biggest 185er, on the roster, but he's got power. Judo background, Alex told me about. And I just don't rate the finishing upside of Petrosian. The better record's Fajea. He's the younger fighter. If you told me who knocked who out, I would have to lean Fajea. I think there's a submission threat potential there. He's not gonna rear naked choke him from the gate or anything like that. But if an opportunity presents itself where he could take his back, I would lean in the direction of Fajea. The only way I could really see Petrosian winning this fight is he has to convincingly win 15 minutes of this fight on the feet, on the back foot, and have to avoid big shots coming from Fajea. He's kind of got to be perfect, and I don't like betting on that. I don't like picking on that. I think there's a less of a margin of error for Fajea because the power is the equalizer, and I think he has a whole area of the fight that he could attack with the grappling. I'm gonna go. I'll go with Alex. I like second round because I see Petrosian kind of being borderline tentative coming off that knockout. I don't see him just rushing into some exchanges in the first round. I think he'll be very disciplined in that regard in terms of not putting himself in a situation where he can extend himself to get countered or get caught with the bad end of an exchange. I think he'll be very tentative in the first round, and then by the second round he'll feel okay, I've kind of established my range, I can kind of enter at the pocket, and he's going to make a false move and Fajea going to fucking take his head off. I'm going to go with the second round TKO. The Hulk smashes and gets the dub.
Alrighty. Moving on. We got Ray Teixeira versus Joshua Van. As you all know, I'm a huge Joshua Van fan. That rhymed. Kill myself. Anyways, that was I like Joshua Van. He's very good. He's kind of got that Petr Yan style in flyweight, where he just starts slow and then picks up and beats the shit out of his opponent as he goes. But I think he's gonna beat this guy. I know this guy's undefeated. I know he's probably a good person to look forward. But I really like Joshua Van. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be like a Joshua Van type of fight where he does really bad in the first round, and people are going to be like, "Oh, Joshua Van's this and that. I don't know how he's going to handle it," and then he's going to get his reads in the second round and just start putting hands on him. I think it's going to be either a third round TKO or a decision. 29-28 decision by Joshua Van.
Yeah, another clean sweep. I'm going to go Joshua Van. Just a better boxer. Good condition. Ray Teixeira is kind of just a grappler.
You're muted.
Thanks. Yeah. Ray Teixeira. Give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Gosh damn it. Okay, take him.
This is supposed to be a one-take thing, bro.
Gosh damn it. You gotta get
Minimal editing is okay too, I guess.
Get him, man.
But I don't know how he's gonna edit it.
CapCut's back.
It is?
Yeah. TikTok's back, so is CapCut.
Watch out, watch out.
Come on.
Watch out.
Oh. I'm recording.
He's here.
Oh, you're good. I'm just letting you know.
Lower it a little bit. Yeah. Okay. My bad about that. Sorry about that. We'll edit that out. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Joshua Van. The line's been moving his direction all week. I don't trust Road to UFC. That is proven to kind of not be a good thing to trust. A couple wrong shoes improved. We'll give him that. Outside of that, we're kind of not seeing prospects deliver out of Road to UFC for the most part. They're kind of a fade, if I'm being honest. Van, I think, clearly is better on the feet. Ray Chisora, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. He's clearly got really good grappling, good scrambles, submission threat, all of that. But in my opinion, one of Joshua Van's strengths is his takedown defense. I can't really recall of a time where, I mean, outside of the Chairez fight, in a couple instances on the ground, like, outside of that, like, he really has kind of held his own as far as the takedown defense. I just think Van's going to beat him up pretty much. As all Chisora has is a submissions chance, in my opinion. I can't see throughout the duration of 15 minutes, unless he is literally, like, on Joshua Van for 15 minutes, I can't see him, like, winning 15 minutes. And I think his style is more conducive to fade in the later rounds the longer the fight goes. Whereas the longer the fight goes, Joshua Van gets that much better. As the cardio just kind of kicks in, the volume, the output. Van's power isn't the best. He doesn't, like, necessarily knock people out, but his technique in the boxing, I think, is there. And, yeah, I just got Van by decision. I think it just shows he's the better fighter throughout 15 minutes, for sure. And this will be a learning lesson for Chisora, who's very young. And it'll be a lesson to the Road to UFC guys to step their game up, frankly. So, Joshua Van decision.
Alrighty. Oh, wait, no. I forgot. My bad, Alex. Continue.
Have you gone yet, Mike?
I already went. Yeah, I said 29-28 Joshua Van or TKO.
Yeah, I am always also going with Joshua Van. Shocker. I'm going to go TKO. I think it'll actually happen relatively early compared to when most Joshua Van finishes happen. I really rate his takedown defense highly, and I think that's how Tsuruya wins. I think he has to take, like, the back and do a bunch of weird jiu-jitsu shit. And, you know, Joshua Van defended pretty much every takedown from Cody Durden. And that is pretty impressive. I don't think Tsuruya really has an ability to strike with Joshua Van, and I think if you can't do that, you don't really have a chance at beating him unless you have, like, extremely good takedowns. And maybe we're underestimating Tsuruya, but he's a young fighter. I think he's actually younger than Van, which is pretty shocking because Joshua Van's very young himself. I want to say Joshua Van is 24 and Tsuruya is 22. But, yeah, I think the body shots are going to really tell the toll. Tsuruya's a big flyweight, taking it in short notice in a big ranked flyweight fight. I could see the body shots, as they often do in Van fights, taking a toll on Tsuruya and getting a TKO probably around the middle of the second round. It starts to look really bad, and then before the second round ends, he finishes Tsuruya. So I'm going to go second round TKO, Joshua Van. Body shots lead to head shots. Flurries puts him out. Joshua Van shit.
Real Joshua Van hours. Moving on. We got Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kuniev. I'm going to go with Curtis Blades. I am not a huge fan of what I saw on tape on Kuniev. Yeah, he beat Renan Fahea, but I don't know. I don't really rate him. And plus, I think wasn't that the fight that he juiced in?
Yes.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I just don't like him. I don't think he's all that. I think this is just going to be one of those moments where they need to stop hyping up these guys that they just randomly signed. Like if they're not MVP level or Michael Chandler level where they were doing big things in Bellator and actually that actually means something, I don't care. I don't care about you if you're not doing those things. I don't care. I think Curtis Blades is going to win. I think he's going to knock him out in the second.
I also have to go with Blades just because he's the one we have more film on against a higher level. And I truly think the way you beat Blades is you're a big power puncher. Derek Lewis, Sergey Pavlovich, Francis Ngannou. That's how you beat Blades. You got to knock him out. Aspinall. I don't really see Rizvan Kuniev as that same threat. I think he might think highly of his striking, but I think there's a difference between being a real power puncher and striker at heavyweight and being kind of a blob. Like, I think he kind of falls in more into the Nascimentos and Tiburas, those type of fighters, more than he does the Aspinalls or the Lewises or any of those guys like who have real power. Like, I mean, it's heavyweight. Anybody could put anybody out, but I don't think like Curtis Blades and Rizvan Kuniev have too much difference in their own power. And I think Curtis Blades probably has a way better gas tank. We've seen him evolve at the highest level, whereas we've seen Rizvan Kuniev need 4 separate steroids. This was not a tainted supplement. He took 4 different anabolic steroids to beat Renan Ferreira, somebody who Francis Ngannou grappled and took out and won. So I don't think of that very highly. I think, Curtis Blades would probably do what Ngannou did to Ferreira. And if Kuniev's taken him 3 rounds on all of the sauce, I don't trust him now that he's under USADA supervision. Maybe he's getting the Leal treatment. They're letting him do it still, but I'm going to have to go with Curtis Blades here. I think he could catch him. I think I'm going to go 2nd round or 3rd round TKO, or just a decision that goes Blades' way in the later rounds. But I think I'm going to go TKO. I think Blades has got him. I'm going to say he starts Gazieving and gassing out, and fucking Blades TKOs a mite. 3rd round. Let's go.
I think this will be yet another consecutive sweep. I'll admit I was tempted to pick Kuniev just from the aspect of a question of Blades' durability, but after thinking about it, it's very much clear Blades has definitely fought the better competition. He's fought Aspinall, he's fought Pavlovich, he's fought Almeida, he's fought Lewis, he's fought Ngannou. Like, he's just fought the better guys. Kuniev, I can't really pick what I don't know, and I don't know what he looks like post steroids. I don't know if he has the same physique. I don't know if he has the same physicality. I don't know if he's got that grit that I need. I think he'll look decent in the 1st round. May even take Blades down, but I don't see him controlling Blades. I think the wrestling's neutralized. If you had to favor anybody in that department, I feel like you kind of have to favor Blades just off of the competition that he's faced and the people he's taken down. I'm going to go with the decision, though. I think it's just going to be a matter of Kuniev looks live in the 1st round. He looks solid, like he's pushing the pace. He's going forward, and he's getting reactions from every little thing he's doing, or he's winning in the grappling exchanges. But come 2nd round, 3rd round, I don't think that gas tank's going to look the same. I think he's going to fatigue, and I think it'll end up where Blades is on top, just getting ground and pound and getting points, and he'll win a 29-28 where he loses the 1st round, rebounds in the next 2. So I'm going to go with a Curtis Blades veteran decision where he just has the better gas tank, he's got the better fight IQ, and he just makes the right adjustments. Also, yeah, as Alex said, I do see improvement in Blades' game overall in the striking over the years. He used to be like pretty hittable. He still is. Don't get it wrong. Like, you could definitely still fucking hit Curtis Blades. You definitely can, but he's improved a little bit in his boxing. He was landing in the Pavlovich fight. Should have shot a takedown, but didn't. That's just Curtis Blades. That's just that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Blades is gonna win today.
That definitely rebounds the corny shit that I said earlier. All right, moving on. We got Bobby Green You heard that, Bobby? You heard that? I'm not calling you by your name, brother. I'm sorry. Bobby Green is fighting Mauricio Huffy. You know, normally there was a time like I would pick Bobby against these type of up and coming fighters. Like normally in these fights, I would not mind picking Bobby. I picked him to beat Fiziev. I picked him to beat what's his name? What's that Brazilian dude's name? He arguably should have won that fight too.
Thiago Moises.
Yeah, I picked him against Moises. He should have won that fight, so that technically doesn't matter. And I picked him to beat Grant Dawson. That was successful by my behalf. I just don't know how he's going to do post getting choked out by Paddy Pimblett. And Paddy Pimblett was doing good, but I don't know, though. Mauricio Huffy's... This vibe is giving me that vibe that I had in the Grant Dawson one, just less confident in picking Bobby in this one, because I don't know how it's going to go down. At least with Grant Dawson, you know, like, all he needs to do is stuff the takedowns, and he's live on the feet. Huffy can knock this dude out. He's got very good striking. He was looking like Conor. I wasn't impressed by him against Lion Top, but he was looking like Conor in the early rounds. But I don't know. It is one of those moments where you don't mind. If you are a betting man, you could put like a little dough down on Bobby, see what happens. Low risk, high reward type of scenario. But I don't know. I'm not a betting guy per se. I think I'm gonna go with Huffy by second round knockout. Maybe Bobby Green does good in the fight and it goes to a decision and still loses. But other than that, I think I'm going to go with Mauricio Huffy by second round KO.
Yeah, I think it's about time for Bobby to be on the wind down of his career. Like Mauricio Huffy is the guy the UFC deliberately put in front of him for that purpose. I could see Bobby potentially making it a fight if he survives the first round and goes into the second and third, but I don't see that happening, to be honest. I think, they're going to be kind of just feeling each other at range, and as soon as somebody gets aggressive, I think fucking Mauricio Rufy, same team. But I think as soon as somebody gets aggressive, Rufy will get his timing and KO him, and I don't think it really matters if it's Bobby or if it's Rufy. I think if Rufy starts off aggressive, I think Bobby will respond aggressive, and he'll be able to find the shot, and vice versa. If Bobby comes out aggressive, I think Mauricio Rufy will KO him. And I think if you're Bobby, this is a game of patience, and it's a game of probably wrestling and gassing him out. Is Bobby going to do that? Probably not. And I think he'll probably, he'll get, the Rufy will get a read on a jab or a straight hand. Even though Bobby has little telegraph, he does not put his hands up. And that'll just be it. I think it's going to be a first round. I think it'll be a brutal one. I think it'll be a bad KO. I think it'll be like scary, like a twitching KO, unfortunately for Bobby. But yeah, I think he's got some nasty power and some nasty timing and some nasty striking at lightweight. And I think he could very well be the lightweight's Michel Pereira minus the grappling. But we'll see. Hopefully he can have a gas tank. Here's hoping. But yeah, I'm going to say Huffy in one. Brutal KO.
On paper, I would say Mauricio Rufy is the weakest link of the fighting nerds, but Bruna Brazil just lost recently, so she's going to take the cake on that one. As for the men, I think Gene Silva is a potential champion in the making at 145. I think Kyle Bahayo is a legitimate contender at 185, and I think Carlos Prates is also a legit threat at 170 in terms of just striking aspects and just being a contender in general. And then we have Rufy. He's I don't think he's, a world beater. I don't. I don't hate that he didn't finish James Yantop. I think James Yantop's very durable. South American fighters predominantly are. He's Peruvian. He was able to take a lot of damage, but it wasn't a catch weight. I got to take that into account. I definitely don't think Bobby Green is as durable as Yontop. I'm going to make that very clear. I do not believe Bobby Green is as durable as Yontop, for sure. I've seen him take shots off Slava Claus. I've seen him take shots off Roofy. I don't know if Green's reacting the same to those very same shots. That all being said, I'm going to go with something a little different. I think Roofy's going to win. I think he's going to definitely win the first round. I think the second round could get a little interesting. I think Bobby Green is going to survive and go the distance in this fight and even win the third round. I think Roofy's going to win the first 2 rounds. And that's the thing, though. The question really is, do we see Bobby Green surviving 2 or more? It's tough. I think kicks are Roofy's best friend in this fight. Try to take away the lead leg, the boxing of Bobby Green. Try to take away his footwork. I think that's going to be his best friend in this fight. I don't recommend going jab for jab and hand for hand with Bobby Green. I feel like you should mix it up. It's MMA. It's not boxing. It's not kickboxing. Try to just find ways to close the distance and create exchanges. I question Bobby Green's durability, but I'm going to trust his footwork in this one to not get finished. I think Roofy wins the first 2 rounds, but he loses the third. I don't think you're going to hear a split decision, but I think it's going to be a fairly competitive fight, especially late in the fight. I see Roofy fatiguing in the third and Bobby Green winning it in the third. I'm going to go rounds 1 and 2 Roofy, round 3 Green, like a 29-28 decision for Roofy, where he wins the fight and he looks good early, but later in the fight he doesn't look as good, and not fraud, but we're saying, like, is he what we think he is type shit. So I could be wrong. I could definitely see an early finish for Roofy, but I'm going to trust in the veteran savvy boxing defense of Bobby Green. Very much quotation marks boxing defense. But I just feel like, Bobby Green has a weird way of showing up against some of these younger guys. He had a close fight with Aziz, who's the co-main event of this card. He had a fairly competitive fight with, what's his name? I'm forgetting it. Not Pimlet, not Jalen Turner. Who was it? Not Grant Dawson. I forget the fighter I'm thinking of, but yeah, like the Fiziev fight was pretty competitive. And I'm not saying like Roofy styles like copy and paste the same as Fiziev, but there's a couple of things I see like they do that are a little similar as far as at least kicks wise. But yeah, I'm gonna go with a Roofy decision. I think he'll win the fight. Yeah.
All right, we ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, now we got Amanda Lemos versus Lasmin Lucindo. I'm going to go with Amanda Lemos. Once upon a time, I was a huge Amanda Lemos not bandwagon per se. I was on the train for sure when she was on that run that she was in. I think she's gonna get it done and pull an upset here by decision. Women's MMA at its finest. I think when you have a 37-year-old lesbian woman in certain divisions in women's MMA, they do really good. Look at Andrade. Yes, she may not be winning most fights, but she'll beat a Mackenzie Dern. She'll beat somebody around that level. I think Amanda Lemos has what it takes to beat Lasmin Lucindo. And I think there was one fight that I saw from Lasmin Lucindo that wasn't impressed by. That's the main reason why I'm going with Lemos here. I don't know if she's going to knock her out, but I do think she's going to get a win.
I'm going to second that. I think this is yet another consecutive clean sweep. Amanda Lemos is my second underdog of the card, my first being Bruno Ferreira. I just think the wrong fighter's favored here. I think Lemos, having fought for a title, she didn't win it, but, she went 5 rounds at Weili. Something. Her weakness is obviously the grappling. I think on the feet, Amanda Lemos, she can entertain the striking with just about anybody in a stand-up fight. I don't think Yasmin Lucindo should be favored here. I don't see why the odds makers are picking her. The only logical conclusion I could come towards is they must be thinking she's got the gas tank to shoot takedowns for 15 minutes, because I think if this stays on the feet, I got Lemos all day. I think she's got the calf kicks. She's like low-key, I don't want to say women's Pereira, but she got some moves, man. She got good boxing, power, good kicks. Her gas tank is a concern. I'm not gonna lie. Like Lemos does definitely fade in fights, but this being a 15-minute bout, I think that helps her. I think experience is on her side. I think the finishing upside is on her side. The only way I can logically see Lucindo winning is if she holds her down for 15 minutes, and I just don't buy it. She was able to get up from Mackenzie Dern. She is losing to like a Verna and a Zhang Wei Li, but I mean those are top contenders and champions of the division. So I'm gonna go with I'll go with Mike. I'm gonna go with the decision. I can see a late knockout or just a knockout in general, early or late, but I'm gonna go with decision. I'll go with Lemos. Underdog pick for sure.
Yeah, this was the fight I was referring to earlier when I said you need to pick your prospects correctly. This is an exact fucking reason why. Because Lemos is a top 5 contender, and she is a massive underdog. And she's been in there with Whaley, and we've seen her fuck up bitches. We've called her the female Figgy for a minute even over here. But Lucindo, she's very young, very green, and to be honest, she is not that great anywhere. She does have a pretty decent grappling game, and she has to use it in order to win this fight because she won't be able to strike with Lemos, and she won't be able to deal with the power. I think Lemos could beat this bitch up, low-key. I think Lucindo's definitely got to come in with a game plan and watch a lot of tape to beat Lemos. And, I mean, at 23 or 22 or whatever she is, to be thrown in there with these the top broads is pretty rough, especially Lemos, because Lemos doesn't fuck around. Marina, she has no finishing potential, and she made it a split decision when the moments were on the feet. And she has not as good takedown defense. I think Lemos is going to be able to keep it on the feet better and do more damage. And that's when that split decision goes to a unanimous, in favor of Lemos, if it gets that far. And I don't know, I think Lucindo might be able to mitigate damage, do some high IQ things. I do think the next generation is smarter, obviously, than the last. So I'm going to say she might survive, but it might look bad in some moments. I'm going to say 30-27 Lemos shows levels. I'm going to say that. I think Lucindo she needs time, and the UFC aren't giving her that because they need contenders. And unfortunately for some guys, that can ruin the rest of your career. I hope that doesn't happen to Lucindo. I don't think it will. I think she's young enough, and I think she's smart enough of a fighter to at least mitigate damage in this fight and know what she needs to avoid from Lemos. But I do think Lemos is going to be landing some massive shots, and I do think she'll hurt Lucindo on a couple occasions, and I think that's going to win her the fight based on damage. 30-27 Lemos.
Shout out to Synchron, our boy, for putting me on Lemos. He's the one that put me on her. So.
Same here.
Shout out to Synchron. Lemos gets the dub.
Yeah, shout out.
Get on the guy with the sniper mid-podcast. I hope you guys like and subscribe.
Yeah. Shout out to the king of women's MMA, Synchron. Next, we got Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. I'm gonna go with Ignacio Bahamondes. I just don't trust Jalen Turner anymore, bruh. Like, last time I did, it was against Moicano. I told y'all this. I was heavily favoring Jalen Turner in that fight. I thought he was going to knock out Moicano. He had an opportunity. He had a way out to knock him out. He had him on the floor, and then boom, didn't even go for it. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to trust him to. And by the way, this is not the first time he's made low IQ decisions like this. He's done it before in the past.
Get shit on! Sorry, Mike.
What? But like, I don't know. I just can't. I can't trust him. I can't trust Jalen Turner. I'm going with Bahamondes by decision. No, I'm gonna go with TKO. Fuck him. Fuck him. I'm going with TKO. Second round TKO. I think it's gonna be a. I think it's just gonna be a. I don't think Jalen Turner is the worst fighter. He is entertaining. I think it will be an entertaining fight, but I think Bahamondes is gonna gas him out and knock him out, or TKO him in the second or third. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, this is another good fight between two weight bullies, strikers. And I think the fight when we imagine weight bullies at lightweight was always Joel versus Jalen Turner. But now it's Ignacio versus Jalen Turner. And I don't mind it because this will predominantly be a striking fight. And I think if you're going to be kickboxing, that does favor Ignacio. I do think Jalen's slightly faster. I could see him having more power. And he does have the grappling, but I do think the range control is in favor of Bahamundis. I think the kicks are in favor of Bahamundis. I think he's improving faster. I think he has less quit in him. I think he has more cardio. I think he has a better chin. I think the weight cut's easier for him. I think, like, Jalen Turner might win the first round. He might start really well, but I think as this fight goes on, he won't be able to keep up the same pace, and Bahamundis will. And outside of the UFC, he's been kickboxing for a long time, keeping a decent pace on the feet. He knows how to keep people at range, and he knows how to keep a pace. Jalen Turner can barely keep his body in check. You know, he's not a lightweight. He's making lightweight. I think Bahamundis is probably going to get to the point soon where he's no longer a lightweight as well. But Jalen Turner's kind of past that point, to be honest. He's destroying his body, I feel like. And I think that just catches up with you at some point, and I think we're seeing it. And I just think Ignacio can take this fight into the deeper waters and win. I don't think Jalen can really offensively grapple him like that. And I think Jalen Turner, even though he has this reach, he's really more of like a marauder than like a technical striker. Like, he wants to come in, land big punches, elbows, and knees. Whereas Ignacio wants to keep the range and chew you apart and find a counter strike. And I think with Jalen coming forward, Ignacio being the superior striker, he's going to be able to find that strike. And I think it's only a matter of time. And it's when he's faced with adversity and when the fight gets later in the rounds, Jalen cracks. We've all seen it. And I think it'll be that again. I think Jalen might try to put up a fight slightly, but I think Bahamundis is just going to pretty much force him to quit in the third round after kind of beating him up. I think he's going to have him against the fence after kind of like destroying his face up. Bam, bam, body shot. He quits. Something like that I can see. But I'm going to go third round Bahamundis, kind of like a clinical performance against Jalen Turner, who's trying to push the pace and move forward, but can't because he has no fucking cardio and he can't remember that for some reason. So, yeah, Ignacio, third round, TKO.
Before I make this pick, I just want to let you know, this is, I think, damn near, I can't recall another time that this has happened. This is like the first time of this program where we're already at the feature fight. This is like non-stop clean sweeps. We have all picked the same picks. I thought that was very cool, very rare. I'm rocking with my guys on this one too. I got Ignacio. Jalen Turner, you know, he's all hammer, no nail. I think he's first round or bust. He has finishing upside, don't get me wrong. He is a weight bully, as we all know, being 6'3" at 155, having the reach he has and the intangibles physically that he has, and how he is able to exploit the advantages of those physical attributes on his opponents at 155. That luxury will not be available in this matchup against Ignacio Bahamundez. I'll admit, I picked against Ignacio Bahamundez in his last fight. I had a little money on Manuel Torres, and boy, oh boy, Ignacio Bahamundez shut me the fuck up. He knocked him out twice in that fight, low-key. Like, honestly, he memed Manuel. Now, I do think Jalen's going to do better than Manuel by default. I don't see him getting knocked out as fast. I do rate the competition that Jalen Turner has faced. He's faced Gamrot. He's fought Dan Hooker. He's fought Vicente Luque. I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Renato Moicano, in that department, you know, he's fought the better guys. I will admit that. The grappling upside on paper, I would also say, is in favor of Jalen Turner. But in hindsight, you know, outside of Brad Riddell, who really is Jalen Turner kind of subbing? You know? Like, outside of that, I can't really recall the last time I saw him kind of display his jiu-jitsu or his submission threat. Fun fact, me and Mike, we were at the fight week of UFC 287, the rematch between Pereira and Adesanya. Wasn't a fun night, wasn't a fun card for us, but we were able to, you know, like, interact and meet some of the fighters at the hotel and stuff, and we actually saw Bahamundez, and he was with Bilal Muhammad at the time. I don't know if he still, you know, talks to him or trains with him, but I just thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit as far as the improvement in Ignacio's game. We all know that Ignacio is going to strike. Having at least, I want to say, like 20 plus pro fights, something like that. I think it's like 16-5, about like 21 fights, something like that. Having been in all those fights, he's never been knocked out. And stereotype or not, South American fighters are very durable. Peruvian, Chilean, Ecuadorian, Uruguayan, regardless, they're very hard to kill. Jalen Turner is kill or be killed to me. He either gets you out of there in the first, he like a hammer, or he's not a good nail. If you beat him up, he quits. I think Bahamunda's got that dog in him. I've seen him overcome adversity, take damage, and be willing to still get the win. I think his last loss was Ludovic Klein. I'd pick Ludovic Klein right now against Jalen Turner. So I'm just torn between a late KO or a decision. I really think he can win either one. I think he's the superior striker. I think the size is equated. The durability isn't his factor, and just the heart and the desire to win and the dog mentality of a fighter, I think all favors Ignacio Bahamundes. So I'll go with I'll go third round TKO. I think Ignacio wants to take advantage of the opportunity he's been given being the feature fight of a pay-per-view, and I think he's going to show out in a big way. So Jalen Turner better win the first round because Ignacio ain't going nowhere, and he's going to be here for 15 minutes. So that's my piece of advice. If Jalen Turner does not win the first round, it's over. Just letting it be known now. If Jalen Turner doesn't do good in the first round, it's only going to go downhill. It's only going to get worse. No hate against Jalen, just calling it how I see it. Ignacio Bahamundes, third round TKO after he breaks him.
Alrighty. We ready to move on now?
Yes, but speaking of this clean sweep that we've been going and all agreeing, I think that's about to end with the co-main and main.
Oh shit!
I think we're gonna have some different predictions on that one.
Oh shit! All
right.
I like that.
We're gonna see what happens. Hold up. What is going on, bro? Why does it not let me? That was the feature fight, right? Okay, there we go.
I believe so.
My topology's working now. Now we got the co-main event. We got Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev 2. I was gonna go with Justin Gaethje, but then I realized that something. Justin Gaethje's 36, and he's gonna be 37 soon. Rafael Fiziev is 32. Yes, he's lost. He's on a losing streak right now. But I don't know, man. I think that one fight he had with Gaethje was at least somewhat like he was less getting, how would they describe it? I just think that was a better Gaethje than I'm seeing right now. That Holloway fight, I don't know how much it's going to affect. I don't want to trust that he is going to come back the same Justin Gaethje that puts on a show and wins somehow, some way. And he's coming off a knockout loss. That's the thing as well. Nobody has ever been able to put him out besides Max Holloway. Max Holloway's good. But when was the last time y'all seen Max Holloway knock somebody the fuck out like that? Not really much.
So he's
Rafael. Yeah, he's just and getting knocked out by a volume guy is bad in my behalf. Yeah, it was Max Holloway, but he's never really putting somebody out like that before. Besides Korean Zombie, who retired after, but that's another story. But enough of me rambling. I'm gonna go with Rafael Fiziev. I'm gonna go with second round knockout. I think he's gonna catch him. I think he's gonna catch him early at some point.
Tough fight. So, first fight was at UFC 286. I believe that was the rematch of Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman in England, and this was the co-main event. I want to say Fiziev was like minus 200, something along those lines, maybe even higher, but I think like Gaethje, you got a good payout. The way I scored that fight, I actually had, hot take, I had Fiziev winning rounds 1 and 2 off points. The problem is that the approach he had wasn't good optics visibly to the judges. I felt that he didn't hit the head enough. He literally kind of only went to the legs and the body, and he landed like a good knee and like a couple shots here and there, but the damage just wasn't visible. As well as Gaethje outboxed Fiziev, in my opinion. In terms of pure hand strikes, if you just count like the strikes that each of them landed between only with their hands, no kicks involved, I felt Gaethje got the better of Fiziev, and the damage showed by the end of round 3. That being said, both of these fighters coming off losses, Gaethje coming off a really bad knockout. Even prior to the knockout, he took a lot of damage in the Max Holloway fight. As someone who picked Max Holloway, I had a 4th round TKO in my prediction. It was a 5th round TKO, but it really shouldn't have been. It really should have been to a decision. And Gaethje, his biggest fault, his biggest detriment, he's just a pure fighter, and he went forward and he got knocked out, and it is what it is. Fiziev coming off of an unfortunate injury, TKO loss to the hands of Mateusz Gamrot. Never like to see a fighter lose like that. You kind of just want to see a fighter lose fair. Not to say that Gamrot cheated, but it just didn't feel fair. It didn't feel genuine, like a real loss. It kind of felt like, not a fluke, but an asterisk.
Yes, it was a fluke.
It felt like an asterisk. It just didn't feel like he really lost the fight per se. That being said, we're here now. Shout out to Fiziev, regardless of the outcome of this fight, for stepping in on short notice for Dan Hooker. Tough. This is really, what do you trust more? Do you trust Gaethje's chin at 36 coming off of that? Or do you trust Fiziev coming off a leg injury at 32 and on short notice? It's tough, but I'm going to go with Rafael Fiziev. I picked him in the first fight. I thought he won the first 2 rounds, but he didn't get his hand raised. We're here now. He has an opportunity to rectify that loss. And we're going to see if he made improvements in the boxing. We're going to really see. Because I don't think Gaethje is going to get his leg hacked off. He has a pretty good understanding of leg kicks. I want to see more high kicks out of Fiziev. I want to see some head hunting in this fight from Fiziev. I don't want to see him just go to the legs and the body again. I want to see you try to go for some shots here. I want some wheel kicks. I want some head kicks. Maybe even a double knee or two. I don't mind the knockout. I don't mind the decision. I'm going to go knockout just because I don't trust Gaethje's chin, and I rate Fiziev striking fairly high in the 155 division. So I'm going to go with I think I'll copy Alex. I'll go 2nd round knockout. It's going to be a good fight, high pace, but I can't help but feel Gaethje's going to be a little tentative in that first round. I don't see him just, being the old Justin Gaethje where he would just go forward with reckless abandonment. As he's gotten older, as he's, gotten his opportunity at another title shot and big fights, he's kind of become more strategic, more tactical, less reckless, less violent, per se. He's been more smarter about the way he goes things. In a way, I think that's not going to help him in this fight. I don't think he's going to be able to out-technique a Rafael Fiziev. Hopefully, Fiziev made the improvements in the boxing, but I'm going to go with the 2nd round knockout. I wouldn't mind seeing a head kick. I'm just going to throw that out there. So I'll go with a head kick knockout for Rafael Fiziev, where he gets Gaethje. He Poiriers him.
Alex?
It's a tough fight. It really is a tough one to pick because the first fight wasn't that long ago, and Gaethje did win. But if Gaethje didn't swell up Fiziev's eye like that, get the visible damage, and win round 2, Fiziev could win that, right? And Fiziev's eye isn't going to swell up 100% 10 out of 10 times, right? It's probably more like 5-5 or something more. I don't know. I really don't know, but it's not a given that it swells up every time. You know what I mean? And he did poke his eye. It was a close fight the first time. I think, Fiziev has had very much preparation for this, but he has been training for an opponent for a long time, and he is in good shape and ready to fight. And he has had Gaethje as a previous opponent, so he will be more familiar taking a Gaethje fight on short notice than somebody else who's never fought Gaethje, as well as somebody who hasn't been preparing as hard as Fiziev has prior to this fight. That being said, The first fight I feel still looms large in the fact that Gaethje was able to kind of like feint takedowns and kind of grapple for the first time in his career in a way. So I do think like it's tough, but the first round I think Fiziev will win that. I think Gaethje is going to be trying to wade into range, and Fiziev is going to be scoring with kicks, probably countering, landing good shots, doing as Fiziev does in the first round. Second round, as long as Fiziev doesn't gas at the end, he can win that second round as well. But he can't let Gaethje get the momentum that he did in this first fight. Gaethje being older, you would assume that he wouldn't have so much momentum. Of course, there's a leg injury on Fiziev's side as well, but I do think he's in the prime of his career, whereas Gaethje's not. I think he's got a refreshed chin. Gaethje does not. I do think his leg will be okay. He's been ready to fight for a long time, and the UFC hasn't given him one, so I do think his leg will be fine. I think, and if it's good by Fiziev standards, it's good, because he's kicking the fuck out of things in the gym. So I don't see a problem with him kicking Gaethje here and having the Gamrot magical knee explosion via Polish power, but I think he can win that second round. If he comes in with good cardio and he does not drain at all, I think he could bank these first two rounds and maybe even the third. I do think he's the more technical fighter. I just think Gaethje has that dog factor where he has the power. He can feint the wrestling, but I'm going to have to go with Rafael Fiziev. I'm going to say 29-28, but 30-27 is also pretty decent potential. The big question with Fiziev is cardio. How ready is he for this fight? Can he go 3 rounds hard? I think Gaethje is probably going to be a lesser version of the Gaethje that fought Fiziev the first time. And this Fiziev has less preparation, so it's kind of like a more dumbed-down matchup than the first time, and it might make it more entertaining. But I do think I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I think I'm going to go with Fiziev here as well. I think he'll win by decision. I don't see him TKOing Gaethje unless he goes out there and puts it on, but I honestly think that gives Gaethje more of a chance. I think it will be a fun fight, but I think Fiziev will have more of a clean performance. He won't all be about having just a bloodbath war. I think Fiziev's going to put a clean performance out there, a lot of kicks, a lot of fast boxing combinations, and we're going to see a good Fiziev. I'm going to go 29-28 or 30-27. I feel bad because I usually pick against Gaethje outside of the times when he magically loses when I do pick him. But
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that's everybody's story with Gaethje.
That's my story. Every time when I pick him and I feel confident in picking him, he'll end up fucking losing. But I think the only time I picked against him and it went successful was the first Dustin Poirier fight and the whatchamacallit fight. The fucking Charles Oliveira fight. There we go. That fight.
I'm not gonna lie, I've picked against Gaethje just about in every fight.
Yeah, but that's because you're a dickhead.
I've only been wrong 3 times. The Poirier fight, 291.
No.
286.
Actually, no. Let the audience why you fucking hate Justin Gaethje so much. This motherfucker right here is the biggest Justin Gaethje hater that I've ever heard.
I've grown to respect him.
Yes,
I've grown to
I
respect him.
I don't mind if you hated him when he was talking shit when he had that little arrogant run that he had, but.
Fight.
Yeah, but now he's actually he's been wanting. Now that he's getting older and about to retire, for me, I've just wind down and started liking him just because he's entertaining, win or lose. But yeah, tell them why so they can know how much of a petty cunt you are.
It really just boils down to I didn't like how he was beating up Tony Ferguson at UFC 249. It was hard to watch. But then again, I also have the front kick of Michael Chandler, autographed. So that's hypocritical to say. Over the years, I've come to realize, we're only going to have these guys for so much longer. And at this point, just kind of cherish the moments that we got with them. But yeah, I've definitely I've picked against Gaethje in a majority of fights. I have for sure, and I'm picking against him again here. I was right the last time. I picked Holloway, so yeah, we're gonna see. This is definitely the test, though. If Gaethje could sweep Fiziev, he still got it. If he loses, might be time. So we shall see. But just want to let that be known. The clean sweep streak is still intact with the main event left. Here we go.
We got Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Who wants to go first? You want me to continue to go first?
Sure.
All right. I'm gonna go with Magomed Ankalaev. I don't know. Alex Pereira lately in the media looked like the Alex Pereira that showed up in the UFC before that. Like when he started in the UFC, he was like humble, doesn't really talk shit that much, and he didn't really care about that win against Adesanya. He just saw it as like, okay, I beat him in another sport. I have to beat him in this one in order to show that I'm better than him. He wasn't as caring as much as the fans were. But now he's starting to like, his ego's starting to boost a little bit too much for my liking. Like he was like hanging out with Drake at a brunch or whatever the fuck it was. He was hanging out at all these nightclubs, drinking and stuff. Like normally you don't really see Alex drinking his stories and stuff as until now, like that he's famous. Like that's just my issue with him, and I don't like that everybody's underestimating Magomed. That's the scary part in my behalf. I don't like Magomed Ankalaev. I don't want to sit here and say that I have been a diehard Ankalaev fan, which is not true. I despise that man. I hope Alex knocks him out, but something is telling me that happiness is not MMA's best friend, and I have a feeling that it's going to be a depressing time in MMA history. And I think what's going to happen is he's not going to wrestle early. The thing with Magomed, he only wrestles when something dangerous is happening to him. I feel like he's going to get hit by like either a check hook by Alex or something that he eats. And then he's going to be like, oh my gosh, this dude hits so fucking hard. I'm not going to strike with him. I'm going to take him down out of nowhere. And he's going to shoot, and he's going to get the takedowns. I think it's going to be a boring decision later on. I think it's going to get entertaining in the beginning, and then Magomed's going to make it boring in the end. I think it's going to be a 48, 47, 49, 46 decision by Magomed Ankalaev, and we're going to have a new champ, unfortunately. That's how I think. But I'm rooting for Alex Pereira. I just don't like that it's being swept under the rug that he hasn't been feeling himself lately, and he's kind of sounding a little overconfident. That's just my issue. Alex?
It's a fight to predict, similar to the co-main event, but unfortunately, I share Mike's vision. I do think Ankalaev. I think it's up to Ankalaev if he loses or wins this fight, and that is if he grapples. I think if he grapples in the first round or second, without getting hurt, you don't want to fuck around with Pereira on the feet at all. I think, especially if you're Ankalaev, don't try it. Maybe just to get respect and then use it to shoot a double leg. But if he plays around on the feet, Pereira can 100% sleep him and probably will. That being said, I think, there's the calf kicks, which I think could immobilize Ankalaev, but even though his leg was immobilized against Blachowicz, he was still able to get takedowns. I think it depends how much damage is done before Ankalaev decides, I need to grapple. I don't think he's smart enough to grapple early. That's what I'm basing my prediction on. It's really that simple. It's one of those. If he picks and he makes the decision that I'm going to grapple against Pereira, he's going to win. But if he's like egotistical and he wants to strike with Pereira for 2 rounds entirely, like, bro, I'm sorry, that's not a good idea. It's not. So I think Ankalaev is smart enough, slightly, or his coaches are, somebody is, to tell him, grapple Pereira, please. And even if he's not, I think if he gets hurt, his big blockhead, he won't go out. He'll probably get back up, and then he'll be like, oh shit, I need to wrestle. And I think he'll take Pereira down. I could see a ground and pound TKO or a decision. I think this could be fucking a real depressing one if he lay and prays Pereira. I think that would be real dark times. I think if Ankalaev wins the title, he needs to make it exciting, right? Otherwise, it's like the saddest days of light heavyweight. And you kind of need Ankalaev win in impressive fashion if he's going to win. Obviously, Pereira's a better option, but Ankalaev needs to win by knockout. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome, honey.
You're a beast.
I know.
Ankalaev has the grappling, of course, and I do think he's somewhat competent on the feet. He's a good rangy boxy style. I think he can stay safe from a lot of Pereira's weapons early and get the takedowns, even if he gets his leg hurt, even if he gets dropped. I do think he has that hawkish resolve, and I think he'll probably win this fight. He's never showed any sign of gassing out either. He's been able to push the pace on Blachowicz, a seasoned veteran, in the 4th and 5th. So I'm going to go with Ankalaev on 4. I think I'm going to go TKO in like the 4th or the 5th. Unfortunately, in the ground and pound. It's sad to say, but I hope Pereira wins.
It really is. I do hope he does, but I just can't. Everybody's going to sweep it under the rug because he's on a win streak and he's a star, but like his ego hasn't been the same as it was in the past, where he's like cool, calm, and collected. Now he's actually showing a little bit more I'm not saying it's it's nothing wrong to be confident. It's just the saying is, it's not wrong drinking your Kool-Aid. Just don't fucking get drunk off of it. And I have a feeling he might be getting drunk off of it because he's just trolling Ankalaev on Twitter. He's putting money down. He's hanging out with Drake. He's talking about the John Jones fight already, which I hope to God that it doesn't fucking happen. I don't know, man. I just don't like how he's been acting lately. And I think that's going to bite him in the ass in this fight. And Ankalaev, I hope he does get slept. I don't want to sound like an Alex hater, but it's just one of those moments where you have a feeling that's something sad is going to happen. In 2025, so far so good. So far so good so far. But I don't know. Lately, it's just, I don't know. Something's telling me something depressing is going to fucking happen. And I think that's going to happen.
Tony Trill.
And the perfect streak of sweeps comes down to me. Before I give this pick,
The real question is, are you going to do it for the sake of breaking the streak? Or are you going to do it for the sake of keeping the streak? Or is it your genuine opinion, Tony?
In a nice way that Alex is trying to say, Tony is known to be an Alex Pereira dick rider. Is he going to be making this pick out of dick riding, or is it going to be common knowledge?
This pick is, I've thought about it, and I'm going to say it right after I say this. Before I give this pick and determine if the perfect sweep streak retains, I want to take a moment to appreciate, commemorate, congratulate Alex Pereira and what he has done in this promotion. I've said it too. Mike and Alex can attest to it. They know that I've said this so many times. What does the UFC look like today if Alex Pereira isn't signed? He saved 2 divisions. He saved 185. He ended the Adesanya era. He created parity in that division. He went to 205 and became the best champion since the GOAT of the division, John Jones, vacated in 2020. He's been the only consistent champion of this weight class. He's become the 9th fighter in UFC history to become a 2-division weight champion. He's done it in such a short amount of time. I've been an Alex Pereira fan since his Glory kickboxing days. I enjoy what he provides in terms of entertainment as a fighter. I think he's world-class kickboxer, crazy power. He's got the aura. He's got everything. I can't help but feel I do not like his fan base. I'm not going to fucking lie. I don't like his fan base. They are toxic, and they make me cringe at an exceptional rate. That being said, I do just want to take a moment to thank Pereira, congratulate him, and just everything that he's done for this promotion. But after a lot of thought, as a Alex Pereira fan, I have picked Alex Pereira in every UFC fight he has been in, win, lose, or draw. I've only lost one time, UFC 287. Faces, honestly, his toughest opponent in MMA to this date. As hard as it is to believe, he's faced Adesanya, he's faced Yuri, he's faced Jan, he's faced Jamal Hill, all great contenders, Sean Strickland, all great challengers, but in terms of the total package of an MMA fighter, I have to admit Magomed Ankalaev is the biggest threat to Alex Pereira that he's ever faced in MMA in general. LFA, the Brazilian Jungle Fever, whatever fucking promotion he fought Melatonin. Magomed's the best guy he's fought. And vice versa. This is the toughest opponent Magomed Ankalaev would have faced in his career. Tougher than Kutalaba, fucking Dolce Lugliambula, Johnny Walker twice, fucking Volkan Ozdemir, Alexander Rakic. These are two of the, this is the best guy he's faced, this is the best guy he's faced. I'm keeping the streak alive. This is the first time I'm ever picking against Alex Pereira. I'm going with Magomed Ankalaev to get the dub on Ramadan. I just think this really comes down to fighter IQ, in 9 UFC fights, 5 opponents have attempted to take down on Alex Pereira. Andreas Michailidis, Bruno Silva, Israel Adesanya, Jan Blachowicz, Yuri Prochazka. When they attempted the takedown, they all got it. Michailidis got it. Bruno Silva, I don't really remember him controlling him on the ground, but he got a takedown here or there. Adesanya, if he would have survived round 5, he would have won the fight, in my opinion, via grappling. In the middle rounds, the grappling is what separated the two of them and put Adesanya in a position where he could coast in the 5th and potentially win the fight and retain his belt. And the Jan Blachowicz fight, I'm not going to lie, Blachowicz in Utah at 291, in the first round, he was very much close to locking in a rear naked choke. Yuri Prochazka, when he attempted the takedown, he got it at 295 in the first round. And he was doing okay in the clinch as well. I think Magomed's striking is somewhat underrated, to be honest. He's not world-class kickboxer or anything, but for MMA standards, Ankalaev could strike. He could box. He has a good high kick. He's got good kicks. He is Dagestani, but he's not known for his wrestling. I think this is the fight where he will display said wrestling. I like Alex's prediction. I think the worst case scenario is Magomed holds him for 25 minutes and it's boring. I think that's the worst case scenario. You lose all of the hype of your reigning champion superstar, and the new guy is the guy that just holds him for 25 minutes. I don't want that. I am an Alex fan, but I'll root for the UFC as a company. And I think what's best for the company, if Ankalaev wins, is Alex's prediction of a ground and pound TKO. I think Ankalaev can compete everywhere in this fight. He's clearly got the advantage on the ground, but I don't think he's a fish out of water on the feet. Obviously, people are going to point to the Jan Blachowicz fight where he got his legs fucking chopped off in rounds 2 and 3. But I have a feeling Ankalaev's worked on that. We're going to see if he's made the improvements. I'd like to think he has. He's the younger fighter. He's got the option of the grappling. This is the first time I'm picking against Alex. I'm going to go with Alex's prediction. 4th round TKO, Magomed Ankalaev, and new. Respect to Alex Pereira, nonetheless. Win, lose, or draw. If you pull this off, legend. He already is
I beg him to do it. I really do hope he fucking does it, bro.
But yeah, first time ever in the history of Wartime MMA, 313, clean sweep streak. We appreciate you guys for watching the video. Make sure to go like and subscribe. And yeah, here's to a great pay-per-view. We wouldn't mind being wrong about the main event, but we'll see what happens. And appreciate you guys again for watching. Y'all have a good one.
Gang.
Good shit.
You do. I was gonna